Did Trump's enemies deliver a multi-million-dollar blow to U.S. intelligence with the loss of one of Washington's most sensitive spy drones? The U.S. Navy confirmed the loss of one of its most advanced MQ-4C surveillance platforms in the Persian Gulf. A dramatic descent, a mayday signal, then radio silence. What exactly happened in those final moments before the MQ-4C went down? A race to the wreckage has begun as America's rivals are already moving to grab the drone's debris and pry open its reconnaissance secrets. The U.S. has confirmed the crash of a sophisticated MQ-4C Triton reconnaissance drone operating in the Middle East. The U.S. Naval Safety Command released an official report providing detailed information about the circumstances of the crash. The MQ-4C crashed on April 9th, with the exact location withheld by officials for operational security reasons. The aircraft was last seen operating over the Persian Gulf, and the incident has been formally classified as a mishap. Flight data showed that the drone abruptly vanished from flight tracking systems during its mission. Before crashing, the drone transmitted an international signal indicating a general in-flight emergency. The UAV then experienced a sudden rapid descent, plunging from around 50,000 feet to below 10,000 feet before losing contact. A total loss of communication between the drone and ground controllers was recorded shortly before the impact. The American Navy's MQ-4C Triton is valued at over $238 million. It is among the most expensive and advanced assets owned by the American Navy. It serves as a high-altitude and long-endurance platform. It is equipped with powerful maritime surveillance radars. The drone also has high-definition, electro-optical, and infrared cameras. It offers advanced signal intelligence and electronic data collection suites. The loss of this high-altitude aircraft poses significant intelligence risks for the United States. There are growing concerns over a potential compromise of sensitive technology and the fate of the drone's wreckage. It remains unclear whether the debris fell into international waters or whether any recovery operations are currently underway. If U.S. adversaries retrieve the wreckage, it could result in a monumental intelligence breach for Washington. Foreign engineers could potentially use the remains to reverse engineer the platform or to develop targeted countermeasures against the drone. Amid heavy U.S. losses in the region, reports suggest that President Trump is now weighing a possible return to the negotiating table. Days after peace talks with Iran failed to produce results, President Trump has signaled that the conflict with Iran may be nearing its end, suggesting a potential de-escalation. Trump's comments were revealed in clips from a yet-to-be-aired interview conducted with Fox News, providing new insights into his administration's stance. The interviewer, Maria Bartiromo, claimed that Trump told her directly during the discussion that the war with Iran was effectively over. In a video she posted to her X account, Bartiromo claimed that Trump stated the conflict with Iran was over, highlighting his optimistic assessment. Subsequently, in clips officially released by Fox News, Trump clarified that the war was close to being over, indicating progress toward resolution. Trump's comments to Fox News were reported by the Times of Israel on April 14, covering the details of the interview excerpts. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "I think it's Iran war. Close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. If I pulled up stakes right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild that country. And we're not finished. We'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal very badly." Unquote. Trump also justified the military actions, arguing that the strikes had prevented Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons in the near term. According to Trump, without this U.S. intervention, Iran would already possess a functional nuclear arsenal by now. Earlier, Trump told the New York Post that talks with Iran could resume within 2 days, pointing to possible diplomatic restarts. Trump's comments came amid ongoing reports of ships still managing to cross the Strait of Hormuz despite the active U.S. naval blockade. After imposing a naval blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, Donald Trump has signaled a possible shift toward renewed diplomatic engagement. The U.S. president indicated that he is considering a second round of negotiations with Iran, according to recent reports. In an interview with the New York Post, Trump stated that discussions with Iran could resume within the next 2 days. He also suggested that the proposed talks may once again take place in Islamabad, based on current indications. However, Trump's remarks appear to differ from earlier statements made in the same interview cycle. Previous reports had indicated that he described the pace of talks with Iran as slow and uncertain. He had also earlier suggested that a second round of negotiations might not be held in Pakistan. According to the New York Post, Trump had even indicated that European countries could host the next phase of discussions. Meanwhile, the US Vice President on April 14 also hinted at the possibility of a second round of talks with Iran to address remaining issues.
I think some people, their reaction to this is to say, well, he shouldn't have said that. And look, there are certainly things that the Pope has said in the last few months that I disagree with. Let me just take like one very concrete example, related to this conflict in Iran. So the Pope said something where he said, and I'm going to try to remember the exact quote, but he said that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword. God is never on the side of those who wield the sword. I'm pretty sure that he said that exact statement. Now, on the one hand, again, I like that the Pope is an advocate for peace. I think that's certainly one of his roles. On the other hand, how can you say that God is never on the side of those who wield the sword? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated France from the Nazis? Was God on the side of the Americans who liberated Holocaust camps and liberated those innocent people from, those who had survived the Holocaust? I certainly think the answer is yes, and I agree. Jesus Christ does not. I agree. Jesus Christ certainly does not support genocide. I think it's very, very important for the Pope to be careful when he talks about matters of theology. And I think that one of these issues here is that there has been, again, hey, random dude screaming, I told you I'd respond to your point. I just want to respond to this question first. But I think one of the issues here is that if you're going to opine on matters of theology, you've got to be careful. You've got to make sure it's anchored in the truth. And that's one of the things that I try to do. And it's certainly something I would expect from the clergy, whether they're Catholic or Protestant. Now, to respond to this guy here, he said, I believe he said the administration supports a genocide in Gaza. And here's my response to that. When we came in, the humanitarian situation in Gaza was an absolute catastrophe. You know who's the person who got a peace agreement in Gaza? Donald J. Trump. So if you want to complain about what happened in Gaza, so if you want, sir, to complain about what happened in Gaza, why don't you complain about Joe Biden and the last administration? We're the administration that solved that problem. The president, excuse me, sir, right now, you see more humanitarian aid coming into Gaza than it has any time in the past 5 years, because we have taken that situation seriously. And that's one of the things that I'm proud of about our administration, is whether it's there or Thailand and Cambodia, we have consistently tried as much as we can to solve these problems, not just complain about them like the guy who just ran away angry.
One question is, when you looked across from these Iranian negotiators, what did you make of them? Did you get the sense that they really were the right people? I mean, I'm assuming you guys know this type of thing, but...
Yeah, I mean, look, you never know. The United States had never had meetings at that level with the Iranian government in 49 years. Wow. Like, it's a meeting that had never before happened. Not Democrat, not Republican. We had never had a meeting like that where you have, the person who's effectively running the country in Iran sitting across from the Vice President of the United States. That had never happened. And what look, honestly, after 49 years, there's a lot of course, mistrust between Iran and the United States of America. You're not going to solve that problem overnight. But yeah, I think the people we're sitting across from wanted to make a deal. And I know the President of the United States told us to go out there and negotiate in good faith. That's what we did. That's what we're going to keep on doing. So you never know, though. But here's where we are on, fundamentally, the President set a policy. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, and right now we are negotiating to make sure that very thing happens. And here's, what's interesting about this is, what's interesting about this is that we have this ceasefire that's in place. I think it's 6 or 7 days old. Right now, this ceasefire is holding. And what you're seeing is, what the president wants to make, he doesn't want to make like a small deal. He wants to make the grand bargain. And what he's basically offering to Iran is very simple, and frankly, it's something that no president has had the ability to offer. He said that if you're willing to act like a normal country, we are willing to treat you economically like a normal country. He doesn't want a small deal. And that's one of the reasons why, one, I'd say in Pakistan, we made a ton of progress. But the reason why the deal is not yet done is because the president, he really wants a deal where Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon, Iran is not state sponsoring terrorism, but also the people of Iran can thrive and prosper and join the world economy.